Good to see you again, and welcome to my brand new Art Attack Try It Yourself video. Now, this is in fact the first in a series of 3 videos in a set, but I'll tell you more about that later. Now you know Art Attack by now. It's all about trying things out with art, being creative, and just having fun. Well, this video is about drawing, but don't worry, it's not like a class or anything. This is all about the wonderful things that you can draw with and what you can do with them. I'm sure you'll have loads of ideas of your own, but there are plenty of ideas here that you can try out straight away. Here's a great way of drawing a haunted house. Take a black and white wax crayon and a nice dark piece of paper, can be dark blue or dark grey, and near the top just draw a round moon and then colour it in white. And just underneath the moon, take your black wax crayon and just draw a very simple haunted house. Doesn't need to be perfect or anything. Just roughly draw the shape. Put a few turrets in. And then turn your wax crayon on its edge and just go over all of those lines, just pressing really hard. And this will create some really spooky shadows. And then while your wax crayon is on its edge, just colour the whole thing in. And then just do your haunted house sitting on the top of a hill, again with your wax crayon on its edge. And you get this really spooky, grainy effect. And then just put in some detail on the house. Now you can put in some windows, make them a bit church-like. And you can put a gable on the top of the house. And I think a nice big doorway. Let's put some light shining out of the door and out of those windows. Just a few little smudges for the light, I think. And now I'm just going to take my black wax crayon and just do a little bit of sort of gloomy atmosphere all around the house. And I think I'll just put some detail down on the rocks here, maybe some steps coming down from the house. And what about spooky gravestone shapes? There always seems to be spooky gravestones around haunted houses, don't there? And don't do any of it perfectly, just hint at the shapes. I'll tell you another thing you always get around haunted houses, these sort of very rickety railings. And a few little highlights with the white, or should I say moonlights. Just little bits of white along the edges facing the moonlight. Doesn't need to be perfect or anything. And I'm just going to shoot some rain across the picture. Nice diagonal flicks there. And just to finish it off, no haunted house would be complete without some bats. Watch this, just squiggly M shapes. A couple there. And there it is. Try it yourself. A haunted house. So you could see there how many different ways there are that you can use a wax crayon to draw with. You can press hard or gently, you can shade with them on their side to fill in large areas, and you know, they're often the things that get left in the bottom of your pencil case or art box. but they really are fantastic art materials. And if drawing with them isn't enough, look what other tricks you can do. If you draw something in wax crayon first, then it resists paint or ink when it's brushed over it. Look at that. Put a bit more on there, and there it goes, resisting the paint and ink. And you know, this technique can be used to get fantastic effects in lots of pictures. Here's a great way of doing a nighttime picture. Take a piece of white paper. Now hang on, I know white looks nothing like night, but don't worry, I've got a trick up my sleeve. Now you need some wax crayons, and you need to take a black wax crayon and just draw the outline of whatever it is that you want to draw. Now this technique is really good for drawing things that have a lot of lights in them at night. Things like aeroplanes, buildings, street scenes, trains. Now I'm actually going to draw a big ship. They have lots of lights in them, don't they? And you just draw the outline in your black wax crayon. And you say, I'm just putting in the basic shapes. Nothing too detailed. And another funnel there. And when it comes to colouring it in, just colour anything that's really dark in black. So that's on this picture, the bow of the ship, because it'd just be a silhouette, wouldn't it? And any other bits of colour that would normally be in your picture, just do it darker than it normally would be. So on the funnel of this old-fashioned ship, it would be brown instead of red. And then when it comes to putting the lights in, just do those in yellow. Oh, broken my wax crayon there. Not to worry, because I'm pressing quite hard for this. You have to press quite hard. Do the lights in yellow or white. And I'm just going to do some reflections on the water in white wax crayon. Now you can't see it on the white paper, but as I say, I've got a trick up my sleeve. I'm going to do a few more reflections here, just in blue. And just finally, even though you can't see it yet, I'm going to do the moon up there in the sky and its reflection in the sea, and just finish by dotting a few white stars in the sky. And there it is, a picture of a ship at night. And where's the night? Here. Just mix some watercolour paint with plenty of water, make it nice and runny, and then just paint it onto your picture. And look what happens. The lights resist the paint. So you get all that wax shining through, and just paint it all the way down, cover the whole picture. And there it is, a wax resist night picture. Try it yourself, great fun to do. Ever since I've been doing Art Attack, I've loved doing wax pictures. In fact, I was looking through the Art Attack office the other day when I came upon this wax idea on the very first ever series of Art Attack. Now look, I'll only show it to you if you promise not to laugh at the hairstyle. Okay, here it goes. Bad hairstyle, but great idea. Now there is another way that you can create a wax resist picture using one of these, ordinary household candle. You just draw an invisible picture onto your paper with a candle like that. When you've done it, watercolour paint, nicely mixed in with loads of water, and you can brush it or sponge it right across your paper. And miraculously, there's your picture appearing. A little bit of wax, a little bit of paint, a little bit of a wax attack. Okay, right, time to get back to drawing and other things to draw with. Do you know what? I wouldn't mind betting that you've got some of these things. Felt tip pens. But don't they seem to get lost very easily? Very soon a whole set of pens will be down to just a few colours, and the colour that you want won't always be there. Well, I always keep mine together with a rubber band, and that way I can always make sure that I've got a whole set, and it's very easy to just slip them in and out when you want to use them. And if you make sure that you always put the tops on your pens, they'll last a lot longer. Good tip. Are you like me? Do you have trouble with these things? Felt tip pens. I mean, there are so many different types of felt tip pens available, aren't there? Just look at this lot. What have we got here then? We've got jumbo marker, micro marker, magic marker, thick point, thin point, chisel point, expensive ones, cheap ones. Do you know what? They are so confusing. All right, let's get it sorted out once and for all. Basically, there are two types of marker, permanent marker and water-based marker. So let's take the permanent marker first. As their name implies, permanent markers are permanent, which means they don't come off, which means they don't smear. So when you're doing a drawing that you've done in one colour, you can just go right across it with another colour and it doesn't smear. You don't get that horrible muddy effect. Now, another good thing about permanent markers is you can draw on almost anything. You can draw on paper, obviously. You can also draw on glass. Now, here's an old picture that I was going to throw out. Just do a little doodle on it like that. Look at that. And the permanent marker even goes on the glass. Looks better, doesn't it? In fact, it will even go on plastic. Here we are, plastic bag. Just do a little design on this, just to jazz it up a little bit. Like that. And it goes on very easily. In fact, it feels great. It's really slippy. And it goes. And when it's dry, of course, it's permanent. And there it is. In fact, you can even draw on cloth and fabric. Look at this little design I've done there, the American flag. And in fact, permanent marker is so permanent, it doesn't even come off in water. Watch this. There it is. Drawing I've done there with permanent marker, and it's absolutely fast. Of course, the fact that it doesn't come off in water means that it's difficult to get off your hands and your fingers, and it's almost impossible to get off your clothes. On the other hand, water-based markers are very easy to get off. Now, the good thing about water-based markers is there's lots of different types available. You can get different sizes, lots of different colours, and they do tend to be a lot cheaper. And the good thing about them is you can mix the colours. Now, you can't do this with permanent marker. Look at that, bit of blue, and then on top of it, I'm going to do some yellow, and look at that. It goes to green. Yellow and blue make green. Now, you can't do that with permanent marker. The bad thing about water-based marker is they do smear. Watch this. I've done this picture in black water-based marker. I tried to colour it in with yellow, and look what happens. The colours smear all over the place. So you have to be really careful when you're colouring in with water-based markers. Be careful the colours don't touch. So, your water-based markers aren't as permanent as your permanent markers, but you can mix the colours. Now, one thing generally that's bad about felt tip pens is you can't get many different shades or tones. They tend to be one flat colour, like this red and this blue. But you can get round this by using other things on top of them. What about a bit of wax crayon to give it some shading? And that goes on top of felt tip pen very easily. Look at that, it gives a good shading effect. And believe it or not, an ordinary pencil, this one's a blue pencil, will easily go over felt pen. And again, you can shade with different coloured pencils, so you don't need different coloured markers for that. And what about just some ordinary chalk? Give it a bit of a highlight on the top there, like that. And one there, like that. Good effect, isn't it? Try it yourself. Experiment with felt tip pens. You know, when you're colouring things in, do you try to get things absolutely perfect? Well, why not try something completely different? A different way of colouring in, and you can get some great effects. Now, here's a picture I've drawn in pencil, just a very simple picture. I've just drawn the outlines, and I'm going to show you several different ways to colour it in, all very simple, all very different, and all very effective. Now, I'm going to start by colouring in with curly scribble. Now it's just a case of colouring in between the lines like you would normally colour in your picture. Colour each section in like this, only instead of doing it perfectly, do it using curly scribble. Now, I say perfectly, you've got to get this a little bit perfect. The idea is to try to make all the curls on your scribble roughly the same size. So try not to vary the scribble too much, and it's just a case of colouring each section in like this. And then when you get to the end of one section, change colour and do another section, but don't vary your colouring style. Don't change your style at all. Just again, colour in with curly scribble. And if you colour the whole picture in the same way, all the different bits using curly scribble, it looks like this. And if you've coloured it in using felt tip pen, when the ink is dry, if you just rub out those pencil outlines, it looks something like this. And I think that looks really good. It looks like one of those French Impressionist paintings. Good effect, that. Okay, same picture, different effect. This time I'm going to colour the picture in using straight lines. Now you can use a ruler for this if you want. It's just a case of drawing straight lines across each section of your picture. Keep all the lines going in the same direction for each section of your picture, and use the right colour, obviously. But if you want to do some shading, then instead of using a darker colour, you just put more lines in, like that. See that? A few more lines in there, and you get this nicely rounded effect. And then colour the rest of your picture in the same way, using straight lines going in all directions, and you'll end up with this. And again, if you've done the picture in pencil outline and the colouring in pen, then just rub out your pencil outline and you get this sort of geometrical effect. And I think that picture really zings. I think that's a great colouring in technique. Okay, how's about a crazy colouring in technique? Same picture again, only this time I'm going to colour it in using words. No, I'm not mad. You watch this. I'm simply going to write the words for whatever it is I'm colouring in. Banana. And I'm going to keep writing banana on the banana. And you can write it as big as you want or as small as you want, but just keep writing it in. So it's a case of writing in the word for each section, and you can overlap the writing. Just colour in each section with its word. So that's banana for banana, and that's more bananas for the other banana, and then you can do apple, pear, orange, vase, and continue to colour in the picture using the word for each section. And when it's finished, it looks like this. And this time, I'm not going to rub out those pencil lines. I think that looks really good as it is. Crazy, actually. And you know, you can experiment with lots of different ways of colouring in. What about colouring in with curved lines? Or go a little bit loopy and colour in with spirals? Or you could go rather dotty and colour in with dots. Try it yourself. Crazy colouring in. Okay, I want to move on to something that you probably only think of for writing with. A boring old pen. Now, it doesn't matter whether that means a ballpoint type of pen or an ink type of pen. Most people only use them to write with. Well, they're missing out on a big thing, because they're both brilliant to draw with. You can do some fantastic doodles with ballpoint pens. Real quick draw stuff. Look at this. Great for cartooning. And the good old ink pen is fantastic for shading, because while the ink's still wet, you can give it a little smudge. It all helps with that shading effect. Look at that. Do you know, one of the great things about an ordinary crayon is all the different tones and shades that you can get from one colour just by pressing lighter and harder. But what happens if you haven't got a crayon? If all you got is a felt tip pen? Well, you can't press harder or lighter with that, because the ink all comes out the same. Try this. Just draw lines across the area that you want to shade darker, all the way across like that, and you can see it starts to look darker already. And if you put lines across those first lines that you've just drawn in the opposite direction, crossing in the middle like that, it starts to look even darker. And this method of shading is called cross-hatching. It's literally shading using lines that cross each other. Now I want this area to be darker still, so I'm just going to put more cross-hatching on, this time in another direction. There it is. You don't have to be neat doing this. And just, again, cross-hatching there, doing lines that go in the opposite direction. And to make it even darker, it's a good idea to just put your lines closer together. And there it is. Now, one pen that's really good for practicing your cross-hatching is just an ordinary ballpoint pen, because you can draw really quickly with it. Watch this. Now, I'm just going to go across the whole of the area on this policeman that I want to shade. So I'm just quickly going across like that, and also on this leg here. I mustn't forget his boots. Now I want this side of him to be darker still, so I'm going to cross-hatch right across the right-hand side of him. There he is, like that. Now there's certain areas I want to be even darker. Places like his belt. I'll just go in there with even more cross-hatching. And then his boots, like this. And again, you can do this neat if you like, or you can do it quite quickly. It all adds to that sort of arty effect. And there it is. Try it yourself. Shading using cross-hatching. Have you ever seen or tried any of these things? Water-soluble pens and pencils. Now you just draw normally with them, but then you brush on some water and they turn into watercolours, and you can get some great effects. But you can get a similar effect using ordinary ink inside an ordinary school fountain pen. Now you can get lots of different coloured water-soluble inks for your school fountain pen. You can get blues, blacks, reds, greens. I've got some brown ink inside this one. And the reason I'm using brown ink is I want to create an old-fashioned effect on my picture. And again, that's why I'm using this light brown paper. And drawing with a fountain pen is slightly different to drawing with an ordinary pen or pencil. You get a sort of scratchy effect. It feels scratchy when you're drawing with it, but that all adds to this effect that I'm trying to achieve. And I'm just going to draw just a very rough sketch. Doesn't need to be perfect or anything. And I'm just going to colour that bridge in, but I'm not going to put too much ink on. See the way I'm just colouring it in, or shading it in a very sketchy way, just with long lines. And I'm just drawing this countryside scene. And now I'll just put some reflections in the water, reflection of the bridge there, and just a reflection of that shadow underneath the bridge, just hinting the reflection there. And then finally, two little duck friends down there. And there it is. Just a very rough, ordinary sketch. But watch this effect. Just take a brush and just brush some water along those ink lines. Not too much water, just enough to charge up the ink and get the ink moving a bit. You don't want to soak the picture with water, you just want to get that ink moving just a little bit to create a really wispy effect, really atmospheric, and really suits this old-fashioned pen and wash technique, it's called. You see what happens here? Where I've put more ink on the shading of the tree, then the water picks it up and darkens that area even more, so you get a really good shading effect. again on the water, not too much water on your brush, just enough just to wash the ink. Hence, pen and wash. And just finally on the ducks, just enough to wash their reflections down like that. And there it is. Try it yourself, a pen and wash picture using ordinary ink and a school fountain pen. Right, time to move on to some of my favourite things to draw with, chalk and charcoal. Now they're both great because you can do so much with them. Now for chalk, just look at how much a little chalk dust can just be used to dab onto paper with a bit of cotton wool to create a sort of, well, it's a sort of billowing cloud effect, just going in a circular motion like that, just rubbing the chalk in. See that? And you get this sort of great cloudy effect. There, one more on there like that. And then it really looks like billowing clouds if you just take a stick of chalk and just pick out the edges of the clouds there, and it looks like sunlight dancing on those clouds. Great effect. And I love the way with charcoal that you can smudge the edges of the lines to make them look softer. Watch this. I just smudge the lines on the cat's body. It looks nice and soft and almost fur-like. See that? Now have a look at how you can use chalk and charcoal together. Brilliant art attack. Silhouettes of trees in the moonlight. Very moody and very simple. And doesn't it show you how effective light and shade can be in a picture? Well, try this. Take a dark piece of drawing paper. It can be black or it can be dark blue or a dark grey. And in the middle, just draw a moon with some chalk. And when you've drawn the moon, just smudge it out a little bit to create a hazy moonlight. Do that with your finger and then blow off the excess dust and just put the moon back in again. And then just draw in the edges of some fluffy clouds just around the moonlight there. Just the edges of these clouds, and just pick out the edges with some moonlight. And then draw in the silhouettes of your trees. Now, I'm just going to do some very simple, straight birch trees. You can do whatever trees you like, and you can make them as detailed as you like, but it's just the silhouettes you want. You can do it using chalk or pastel or charcoal. And I'm just making them a little bit smaller as they get into the distance. Just around the edges there. A few branches, not too much. And then just make it darker down one of the edges of those trees, the edge that's away from the moonlight. So it's the edge that's in the shade. When you've done that, just put in the shadows of the trees. Now, shadows are cast away from the moonlight, so just do the shadows fanning out from the moon. So there it goes, out that direction. Just fanning out like that. Oops, butterfingers. And then just pick out some highlights down the side of those trees, the side that's facing the moonlight. So these are just little bits of moonlight dancing on the side of those trees. And there it is. A little bit of light, a little bit of shade, silhouettes of trees in the moonlight. That's just using two shades, black and white. But look what happens when you use other colours, warm and cool colours. Hold on. What's all this about warm and cold colours, I hear you say? Well, actually, there are certain colours that can help give a warm feel to your picture, and there are other colours that can help give a cool feel to your picture, and it's easy to remember which is which. For the warm colours, just think of warm sunshine and hot fires, and you get yellows and oranges and reds and nice rich browns. They're the warm colours. And for the cool colours, think of things like icy blue and cool minty greens and snowy white, and they're the cool and cold colours. Now, just to show you how effective this technique can be, I'm going to do a picture that's got warm bits in it using warm colours and cool bits in it using cool colours. And I'm going to start with the warm colours. Nice bit of warm yellow here. Warm it up even more with some orange. Even the little bits of detail, nice warm yellows. Red. This rich warm reds. And a little bit up here. Again, rich reds. Look at these nice ruby reds. Very warm colour, that. Look at that. And that's it. All the warm colours on, now the cool bits. Snowy white. Minty greens. And what about some icy blue? Look at that. Cool. Freezing. And there it is. The cool colours really do make parts of your picture feel very cool, and warm colours make parts of your picture feel very warm. Try it yourself. So that's chalks and charcoal, felt tip pens, pens and biros, wax crayons. I'm just going through some of the things that we've actually been through. But you know, one of the best things about Art Attack is to keep trying new things. Keep finding out what else you can use for your art attacks. Or what about trying a couple of different things together? When you're creating a picture, do you sometimes have difficulty trying to decide which art materials to use? I mean, there are so many of them. Pens, pencils, crayons, wax crayons, chalks, pastels, coloured paper, white paper. And yet, they're all good for different things. Well, here's a bit of fun. Why not use all of them? A sort of mixed materials picture. Okay, what about the good old pencil? Now, the great thing about pencils is you can just sketch very quickly with them and put in rough shapes of your picture. And then when you've actually finished your picture, if you're not too happy with the shapes, you can alter them. You can even rub the pencil out at the end. And what about the good old paint? Well, the obvious thing that's good about paint is that you can cover big areas with colour very quickly. and I'm just using ordinary watercolour paint. Of course, the disadvantage to paint is you've got to wait for it to dry. That should be okay, it's quite hot in here anyway. That's it. Okay, what about marker pens? Well, again, the obvious advantage to marker pens is that you can cover big areas very quickly. And if you use permanent markers, they go over absolutely anything. And as well as covering big areas, you can also do fine detail. See if you can guess what I'm doing. Got it. And what about these things? Water-soluble pencils. Well, the great thing about water-soluble pencils is you can just use them as normal pencils. And it's just a case of drawing with them normally. Or you can brush on some water and get a really watery, well, watercolour effect actually. Water turns them to watercolour. And it's great for atmospheric pictures like this or watery effects. And what about one of my favourites? Chalk. Great for just adding highlights to things, just down the edge of things where the light is shining. Just picking up those highlights there. Another thing chalk's great for, of course, is smudging. And finally, let's not forget the good old ballpoint pen. Great for doing fine detail. And there it is. Try it yourself, a mixed materials picture. Well, that's just about it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it and it's made you think, whoa, I want to do that. Well, now's the time, because you can do it. You can art attack. Go on, try it yourself. Now, at the beginning, I said that this was the first in a 3-part series of Try It Yourself Art Attack videos. The next one is all about painting the Art Attack way. And the third one is all about great stuff to make and do. So look out for those. Time to say ta-ra, so be creative, have fun with your art, and have plenty of art attacks. Bye for now. Ta-ra!
There are loads of fantastic Art Attack videos to choose from, all featuring your favourite art attacks, the greatest episodes, top tips and tricks from Neil, and a chance to see his ever-changing hairstyles. Available from all good video stores. Or check out these websites for more details. The Art Attack magazine. It's the most art-tastic magazine you can buy. 36 pages jam-packed with fantastic things to make, do, draw and colour. And every month it comes with a special free gift attached. Available from all leading newsagents and supermarkets, it's the #1 art magazine. Have yourself an art attack and flick through these fantastic files from Fun Facts. Neil shows you how to paint and draw monsters, machines, animals and people with easy-to-follow instructions. Plus, stickers, puzzles and space to write down all your personal stuff. Take an exclusive look behind the scenes at Art Attack in the new Art Attack Annual and find loads of amazing things to paint, draw and do in these other great books from Dorling Kindersley. Secret Stuff, Great Art Attack Stuff and the original Art Attack with Neil Buchanan. Egmont Children's Books' range of Art Attack activity titles are packed with fantastic art attacks for you to try. These fun books are full of wacky and wild projects to keep you entertained for hours. And there's one other great thing about these books. They're pocket money priced. Hasbro has a great range of thrilling kits that include everything you need to have an art attack. Mad Mail, Crazy Faces, Fantasy Den, and the all-new Secret Keepers and Jungle Surprises kits. The Art Attack Big Bin from Hasbro is a must-have art store for any budding artist and includes lots of wacky art tools and loads of ideas for how to use them. Create your very own Art Attack at home with this fabulous range of stationery from Helix. The Essential Art Attack Paint Tube Pencil Case, a giant folding art rule with cutouts and stencils, as well as a collection of funky stencil packs, all of which you can mix and match to come up with your own fun designs. Not forgetting the double-ended stamper marker pens, brilliant for adding a personal touch to all your creations. Pens, pencils, rulers, coloured pencils and erasers all receive the wacky Art Attack treatment in this great range of fun stationery from Staedtler. Ranging from a pack of 3 Art Attack pencils for just 99p through to the Classroom kit at £5.99, Staedtler's Art Attack range is also pocket money friendly. The Pritt Art Attack adhesive range is high quality, washable, safe and solvent free. In addition to the Art Attack PVA glue, the range includes Art Attack Shiny Stuff, which adds that ultra-high gloss finish to all your creations, and Art Attack Fun Tack, the reusable tack that has many uses. The Art Attack CD-ROM is packed with creative tools for children to use on their PC, complete with advice from Neil. There's a creative studio, a huge collection of paint features, and the exciting cartoon creator. Also, look out for Art Attack Print It, coming soon. Available from most good computer stores. Art Attack Papers. Perfect for all those papercraft activities, modelling and picture making. Handy packs containing super project ideas. Great fun, great colours, great art attacks. You can find details on all these products, plus fact sheets from the TV show and loads of stuff to do on the new Art Attack website at www.artattack.co.uk.